What if the thing that has been holding you back isn't laziness or fear or even not knowing what you want? What if it's just that nobody ever gave you permission to want it? In part two of my conversation with Maureen Mehr, we go deeper. We talk about faith, about co creating your life with God, about how to keep moving when you can't see what's ahead, and about what it actually looks like to love your family deeply and show up fully for yourself at the same time. And she says something near the end of the conversation that stopped me cold. She said that women who will be most successful in what they create are the ones who co-create with God. I want you to hear her say it yourself. Welcome to Create Your Best Empty Nest. I'm Marianne Iverson, and this episode is part of a special series called How to Stop Living Through Your Kids and Start Living Your Own Life. Every episode of this series, I'm sitting down with real women who woke up one day and realized she had quietly disappeared into everyone else's story, and then did something about it. These aren't perfect, polished stories, they're honest ones. The kind where you'll probably hear yourself in someone else's words and think, wait, that's me. If you've been wondering if there's more for you, the answer is yes. Now, let's get into it. Now we have part two with Maureen Mehr. We're so happy to have you, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I am delighted to be here and looking forward to our conversation today.
I'm sure you women will just love to hear more about what she has to say. She's just full of wisdom. Let's just get to know you a little bit more and let listeners just fall in love with you like the rest of us have. So tell us your favorite word and your least favorite word.
My favorite word is yes. I've even thought about writing a book about the word yes. So I think that is my favorite word because I always focus on the solution. I focus on getting to yes. If I'm going to say no to someone, I'm giving them a yes sandwich, which is saying, yes, I'd love to do that. However, I'll be out of town, but please reach out to me again and ask me. So it's just an attitude that I have in life in general, which leads me to my least favorite word, which is no.
They go together.
Not that, I'm fine with no. It's okay to say no to things or be told no on certain things, but it's more when no is used when yes could be. When someone tells you no that isn't even in a position to be able to say yes, or when someone says, no, I can't do that because I don't know their number or something simple. And I'll be like, well, how could we know their number or whatever it is? I like to think about impossibilities. So if it needs to be no, it's no. But if there's a possibility that it could be yes, and it would be right for it to be yes, I like to get to yes.
Okay, so this is a book that is called The Year of Yes, and it's by Shonda Rhimes. And that's basically what this book's about, is how she decided for a year she had kind of shrunk and she brought herself in and didn't want to go out and didn't want to pursue anything and was just doing her own little job and her own little, she's still an amazing woman even at that point, but she decided that she was going to have a year of yes, where she was going to say yes to everything. And this book is about her journey and how it just expanded her life and her comfort zone and what she thought was possible.
Yes. Well, and I did something similar in that after I went to graduate school and studied leadership and nonprofit, I made a secret promise with myself that whenever I was invited to give to a charity, I would say yes. And it doesn't always mean I'm giving a huge amount. Sometimes you're just rounding up, but I say yes. And because I always feel like I have something that I can give. And so that's been my yes.
Well,
yes.
I loved how you said the yes sandwich.
Yes.
So sometimes it's got to be a yes in a way that you can sandwich it and figure out what's going to work for your life and your situation. Go ahead with your favorite sound and then tell us your least favorite sound.
My favorite sound, well, I have two really. I love the sound of the Native American flute. Really calms me and gets me in this very Zen zone. But really, then I started thinking that probably my most favorite sound is when my grandkids say, Nana. I love
I'm
it.
excited for that. I'm just about to become a grandma.
Oh, fantastic. Congratulations.
Okay, what about your least favorite sound?
I gave a talk on this in 8th grade. We had to talk about our biggest pet peeve, and it was a sound, believe it or not,
Interesting.
an alarm clock.
Oh,
Alarm clock, alarms. I just do not like alarms.
I do love it when I wake up before my alarm in the morning. That's for sure.
And I've tried to find the most soothing and
Uh-huh.
like I think I need the Native American flute to probably.
Yeah, there you go. Combine those. That would make it less
Yes,
least favorite. Good
exactly.
idea. All right. What's something that's really got your attention right now? Is like a book or show or conversation you keep thinking about?
Yes, definitely right now it's a book that I read probably a few months ago now, and it's by Mel Robbins. You might be familiar with it, your listeners might be, but it's called The Let Them Theory.
Oh, yeah.
And it really just argues that much of our stress comes from trying to control other people's behavior. And its core idea is really simple, which is just to let them do what they're going to do and then redirect your energy toward what you can control the decisions, your reactions, your emotions around this, how you're going to deal with your emotions and whatever it is. It shifted something for me and my relationships profoundly.
I have read that book as well, and I think that is super helpful with our kids as they become adults. And really, they're going to do what they're going to do, but letting them and encouraging them, and also letting yourself, it helps it turns into that symbiotic relationship and really releases that control that really none of us really have. Okay, if you have $1 million, this is going to be a hard one for you because you have a lot of causes that you are aware of and that
Yes.
you're involved with. But if you had $1 million to give to any cause, where does it go and why that one?
Thinking through that because every day I'm talking to a different organization, it seems like, or several times yesterday. And everything you can think of that all the social issues and the types of charities, I work with them all. But I really came home to my own organization of who I really am because it's a very unique and different approach to how we solve social issues and problems in the world. And because it's bringing it back to principles and character and and internal prosperity. And so I feel like it has the power of transformation in a very unique way. And it doesn't mean we don't need to be working out here and we don't need to address food insecurity or abuse or corruption in other ways or having clean water. You know, those some things are just practical, but I just feel like this is so powerful. It's critical because you can do all those other things and it still won't succeed if you don't have that knowing who you are, knowing your divine potential, and having a path to get there. And this organization has the path. It's a journey that you go on, and you have two master principles, and you go on this journey of 7 islands that really takes you on that journey where you study and understand humility and integrity and all those different principles that really are principles of success.
Tell me a little bit more about this internal posterity. I loved how you said that. Just expand on that just a little bit.
Just like there are universal laws, I think when we embark and looking at our character, what things we can do that are in alignment,
Mm.
that bring about things coming back multiplied to you, things that help you to truly be able to succeed in life. The way the curriculum is set up is that you have an animal that's associated with each principle. So one of them is MAFID. Okay. MAFID is an acronym for making allowances for individual differences. So when you study and learn each character or each animal and you relate it to their characteristics, because you've seen a platypus, it looks very different, right? And then you relate that to your own self. And for example, when I was young, I had a teacher get really upset with me and just kind of pick me up and yell at me and say, "Why can't you be like everybody else?"
Oh,
Which was very impactful to me. And for quite a while, it set me on this journey of me asking that question, why can't I be like everybody else? And at first thinking I needed to be, and then eventually growing into where I am today, where I'm embracing who I am and every part of me, the part that still needs some work. And I
right.
feel like these principles and this journey, I mean, they give a lot of grace and they help you to know, well, if we don't do this, you get brought back to the island of humility where you can be humble. The humility is the door to transformation. And so I think when we start living these principles and we teach these principles to our families and our communities and our countries, we are able to truly prosper. We are living in a way that allows for that prosperity to grow, for us to grow and for us to grow together and have a common language about what these principles mean and can do for us.
Okay, let's go on to some questions and talk a little bit more. So, for so many women, putting everyone else first feels like the right thing, the noble thing, what they should do, even a faithful thing. So, how did you start separating being a good mom from I've forgotten I'm a person too?
I think when I started to understand that I'm being an even better mom by modeling this for my children, like it really sunk in that this would truly benefit them if I were to not just stay small and bury my light under a bushel, as they say, but
Yeah,
for me to show up and shine in my own life, give them an example of someone doing that that's close to them and what it takes to do that, and watched me grow through it, watched me face my fears when I felt like I wasn't good enough to maybe get on stage and sing one of my own songs. And what did I do when I forgot my own words to my own song, right?
yeah,
Or when you put yourself in these positions to grow when you're doing this, right?
yeah,
So I think that is what it was. It was me understanding that you can be a good, even, I think it's even better if we can model that for our children.
right. That
More
is one
important.
of the greatest gifts we can give them. That's what we want to teach them to learn and grow, and that they can go after anything. But when we set the example for them, it gives them the freedom and gives us that freedom as well, and that they're free to dream and they see us as an example. Yeah, I think you're right. I love
Yes.
that word and because you can be both and an even better mom.
And I think about you and your role right now, where you're doing this coaching, which I don't think you probably maybe thought about doing this when you were young. That
Right.
might not have been something you even knew you could do. And here you are doing it, and how much they're observing you fulfilling your mission and purpose, and then helping others in that same capacity and the ways that they do it. And also probably stretching yourself and learning new things and learning from others and having mentors in your life. I'm sure you're here because someone mentored you and now you're mentoring others. I mean, we all benefit from having mentors. So all the things that you're not even thinking about are happening behind the scenes, and your families are learning from that and maybe applying that to themselves and realizing, oh, that's okay to have
Yeah.
someone who's teaching me who's further down the road.
I love how you talked about the humanness because we all are human. We all have awesome, amazing things, and we all have challengers or things that we're learning. And so, just to embrace that, it's part of growth to have these negative or scared or whatever, these emotions that where you're just like, ah, and that's part of growth. That's part of dreaming is you're going to feel some of that. And that's the permission for that. So, when was there a moment when you felt like God or something bigger than you was nudging you back to yourself? What did that feel like?
Well, I remember having some health challenges and just feeling really down at the time. And I think I was in bed, just getting through. And I just remember feeling like I got this impression from the Lord that there was something that He wanted me to do and be a part of in the future. I was never told when, but something important that He wanted me to do, and that I was to start preparing and start getting out of bed, doing
Yeah.
things that the Lord wanted me to do to prepare for someday in that future when that was going to happen. And it did take a while, but I remember He left me with it. I felt like I received a gift from that point on, which was that insatiable desire to learn and to
Mhm.
gain knowledge. And so from that point on, I could only read nonfiction. I read everywhere I could. I studied, I listened, I took courses, everything I could to prepare for something in the future. That was a real pivotal moment, too, for me in my life. And again, having to be in a place of trust. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing later in life that is going to be what felt to me purposeful and matter to the Lord. And here, fast forward, now I know maybe even just a part of it. I don't even know that
Right.
it's all come to fruition and bloomed. You know what I mean? It could be that I'm in the seed phase right now and there's still a lot more to come. I just trusted that there was a purpose behind me doing this. And I would say that to our listeners too. I feel like this applies to everyone, that there are purposes we cannot always see why we might feel to grow in certain ways and to take this time in our life when we are empty nesters and really flourish and accelerate it in a way that we otherwise wouldn't.
How do you do both things at once? How do you love your family deeply? You can tell you love being a nana and your kids and all that.
Mhm.
And you have this burning desire to become more fully yourself. How do you do both? I love that word and.
How do you do both? Well, I feel like love is a verb. So I feel like you can love your family and love yourself and love others and love the work you're doing. And it just feels to me like if you think about it, it's not like it all has to be done in the same way at the same time. If that's your basis, if everything is spoken in love and everything is coming from a place of love. Someone recently told me that I should get to where I could fire someone, which I don't think I've ever fired anyone, but that I could fire someone and they would walk out the door and say thank you. So that whatever we're doing in our life, we're doing it from a place of love. So I feel like if those are our intentions, if that is, and including, like I said, having space for self-love as well, because I think when we allow ourselves to love ourselves more and we give ourselves that grace again. And we love every part of ourselves as well, the good, the bad, the ugly, that whole acceptance of where we are, that you can't have too much peace. You can't have too much fresh air. You can't have too much love in your life.
In my coaching program, I have a 1 week's about relationships. And that's the whole idea of relationships is to get to a place of love. And there's relationships with
Excellent.
with others, with yourself, with your husband, with your spouse, with your significant other. But in any of those relationships, love feels the best. And to get
Mm.
to a place of love and allowing others, kind of like that, let them, like you talked about with Mel Robbins, to let them. And that's a place of love. The deep love for your family and pursuing your becoming yourself fully are opposites. Okay, when you couldn't see what was next, what helped you kept moving anyway? You talked about this, you kind of alluded to this, and how even right now you don't really know what's next. So how do you keep moving? Not knowing the how is hard for a lot of women. I was actually just coaching someone today. I dreamed this, but how? I don't know how. How do you get over that?
Well, I remember when I made that list of 50 things. I remember feeling like you're describing. I really felt really excited that I had all these things I wanted to maybe do with my life. But I remember feeling really overwhelmed. This seems like too much. How will I do this? How could I accomplish this? And it gets into this energy I feel of fear, which is very different from an energy of faith.
Yep.
So I think what the biggest takeaway for me was shifting out of fear, first acknowledging what fears I had, finding out what was there, and shifting it to faith and a place of trust and trusting that the support that it what needs to show up will show up when it's time for it to show up. I run across this all the time in the work I am doing. Still, there's moments like this when somebody today, we need a pump for a well and we need $4,000 for this. And oh, and we need money for this and we need money for that. And I need money for these orphans. I need a flight home. It's like you can start to feel, oh, if you take it on as something you have to do on your own. And I don't. I mean, I personally go to God. I have a book back here about a man who fed 10,000 orphans a day, never asking a single person, only asked God to help feed the orphans. And so sometimes I think it's remembering that we don't have to do it all or figure it all out. Just stay in that place of trust, out of fear, and then also being okay with things. I've talked about this before, but in a place of not knowing and just trusting that the support or whatever needs to show up will show up when it should. And it's okay if it's not moving, if you're in a kind of a pause. But I mean, that's still momentum because there's something happening in that moment that needs to happen.
And that's what we do a lot of my program is a midlife identity thinking problem. And we think that, and then also realizing that the emotions are like, we can process them. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with emotions like scared or fear or anxiety.
Right.
All of those
No.
things can lead us to pursuing, and they're part of pursuing dreams and goals. And so just sitting with them, there's nothing wrong with them, thinking about that and really that thought and feeling is what the story we tell ourselves about any situation. And so really working through that will help us to be able to do those things. So, and to
Mhm.
keep moving, when you feel like I
Yes,
just can't, right?
exactly. I always, that's actually one of the things I do when I feel overwhelmed. I feel there's a lot that has to be done. I just tell myself, I'll just, like when you're trying to pack up a house to move,
Yeah.
there's just so much, so many boxes, so much to pack. And I just say, I'm just going to keep moving. I'll
Yeah.
just pack this one box and then I'll pack another box. And then on the other end, it'll be like, oh, how do I unpack all of this? Just one box at a time. You
And
eventually
taking
get there if you
action.
keep moving.
It's that
Yeah,
action. Even if it's messy action, take messy action.
absolutely.
Okay. All right. Last question. What do you think is still ahead for you, and what part of your story hasn't happened yet?
Well, what I think is still ahead, because I really do feel like we create things almost spiritually when we do what you're doing with your clients, where you're having them start to dream, start to list the things that they think they might want to do. And for me, I think I have about half of that list that has come to pass. And I think it's the other side of that list that is still yet to come. There's so many on there, and they felt so big at the time. But
Mm,
now I realize it wouldn't just be me doing it. I'm going to be doing it with a network of people that have come into my life now, people with like-minded missions and the skill set. I feel like each person that's come in that I work with on a regular basis are uniquely prepared to achieve those goals that if I had tried to do on my own would have been overwhelming, but they are going to come to fruition because of who's come in this flow. We're also aligned with, they also have these things written down on their lists,
right.
right? So we naturally are going to come together and end up connecting with each other. And so I think I'm going to be able to fulfill a lot of those dreams that I've had that involve more people, like holding conferences and perhaps a fundraiser the size of the Delta Center with a concert, things like of that scale, where I just think that would have been really hard to do on my own. But I have of those things that I'm really still excited to do, and also things I haven't thought of. I have a vision board. I do these mental exercises where I actually imagine the things I want to create, to have created in my life. But I leave room for this or something better, things I never even thought about doing. So those, I still feel like there's things I've identified, but there's probably things I never really have even considered that I hope to experience. And I hope to be an instrument, really. It's more about my desire to serve my brothers and sisters and humanity in whatever way I can and to gather other people together in that same purpose, because together we're better and we can have a larger impact if we work together to achieve those shared goals.
I want
I
to take people back to that when you were in bed and you had that moment and realize that it wasn't at that point you couldn't be doing what you're doing now, but it was unpacking those boxes one at a time that help you. And it's just taking that action. And oftentimes you have to partner with someone, a coach or mentor or someone that can help you to vision and see your thinking and all those things that bring you that network of people. And the second part of the question to answer is just what part of the story that hasn't happened yet?
I have a lot of goals for the organizations I work with to really be able to empower them to be able to fulfill their missions. That's the way I think about it. Just like I want to help other people to ignite their own light and for them to reach their divine potential. Sometimes it's done through resources, sometimes it's done through time, sometimes it's done through funding. And so that was another piece of this that I really hope on a large scale, and not funding that just is perpetually needing to give, but I really want to empower so that organizations and people are empowered, whether it's through the principles, whether it's through funding, whether it's through education, whether it's through resources, whether it's connecting people one another, to be able to become self-reliant, have self-mastery, all those things. And to lift those who are lifting really is also a part of the work I'm involved in. And so I really get excited when I think about doing that. It doesn't feel like work. I have a little sign here that says nothing is really work unless you would rather be doing something else. There isn't really anything I'd rather be doing. I think probably the biggest thing that I'm maybe surprised about in the future, I'm not sure what's going to happen with my music and performing. That's still always been a big question mark in my mind, in part because of my own judgment. All those things. The reality is we're a little hard on ourselves for some.
Right.
But what helps me is to take me out of the equation in that sense, say it's not about
Mhm.
your voice sounding a certain way or how well you play a piano. It's about the message. That's what really drives me. That's what really motivates me to get back to really answer your question. And maybe for the moms out there is really what really drives you. What think about your why you're doing it. And for me, when I got really clear on my why, that gave me a lot of courage to be
Yeah.
able to step into doing some things that really were going to be challenging, but also very rewarding.
The words that I heard you say that I really loved was excited, to be excited about what you're doing and then to create. I love to think that we were made from a creator to create. And so when we're excited about what we're creating in our future, that's when we're really living the life that I have a sign here that says she created a life she loved. And that's what I try to do for my clients. And I hope for the people listening that you can be excited about the life that you're creating. Thank you for being here. Tell us anything else before we go and how listeners can find you.
Well, one last thing to add to what you're saying is that I think that she will be even more successful in what she creates if she co-creates with God, because I think that has been a secret to my success. And I'm glad I got an opportunity to say that because it's been guided and I've asked. And
Right.
so having that co-creation, I think, is another real key to having everything succeed and be alignment. One of the things I've been doing in this podcast is to just look around my own room about what things inspire me to help me. So I'm just going to see which one maybe would be inspiring to the women as a final thought. And I think the one that I'm looking up at my hutch above my Pottery Barn desk, I just love it because it's glass, so I get to fill it with things that I get to look at. But I have a saying up there that says, and it's fun that you have one there too on your desk,
Yeah.
but the saying is to be beautiful means to be yourself. And I think if the women can just sit with that for a minute and understand where true beauty comes from and how beautiful it is when we are our authentic self and we allow who we really are to be seen and to say what we would really say and to recognize when we're not doing that and to see that beauty in others too. I just, all the time when I'm looking at people, I'm like, oh, she's so beautiful. It's just because she's being quirky or being whatever she is. When people just be themselves and are willing to be vulnerable and be who they are, I just think there's nothing that tops that in terms of beauty, and their light just shines through them. And so I can be found on maureenmehr.com on my website, or you can reach out to me through LinkedIn. That would be another easy way to get in touch with me. Sometimes it's just simple for people to do that if they're already on there. I'd love to connect with anyone who would like to connect. And I just, in closing, too, want to just say how much I support the work that
Okay, before we go, I want to let you.
you're doing, and that I personally have been coached, have had mentors, had people that have helped me and still continue to be able to just do the work that I'm doing and to be able to learn from someone else who's further down the road than I am. I think it's so, so valuable. And I really appreciate what you're doing and that you have a specific, that you're here for us, for the women who are in this stage of our life.
Right.
Me who had no idea it was coming. And now I always think, oh, you're going to be an empty Esther? Let's talk.
Yeah, let's talk.
Here's what's
Yep.
coming, just so you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, exactly. Will you spell your name? Because it's spelled a little differently so people can find you.
Yes, Maureen is Maureen, and it's .com.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. We can see that you really live your mission, who I really am. And I love that you are a shining example of that. And you've taught us a lot. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and inspiration for women to become in alignment and really that permission to become and fulfill their desires and dreams. So It's been great to be with you. Thank you.
But thank you for this platform and opportunity to share and be invited to speak about this. And I look forward to seeing more of your podcasts in the future.
Okay, before I let you go, I want to leave you with something Maureen said right at the end of this conversation. She said, to be beautiful means to be yourself. Not the polished version, not the version that has it all figured out, the real one, the one who's still becoming. That woman deserves a next chapter she's genuinely excited about. And I think you know that too, or you wouldn't be listening here today. So consider this your nudge. You've been thinking about this long enough. The link to book your free Next Chapter Jumpstart call is in the description. I'll see you next week.
If this felt familiar, you're not alone. I created a short quiz, Who Am I, after the kids leave. It helps you name what actually is going on for you in this season and what you might need next. You'll find the link in the description. And if you want more conversations like this, you could subscribe. I'm here every week.